Saberland and Fulcrum customers, we appreciate your patience with us getting this video together. At long last, we're doing an updated instructional video to show you how to access the electronics and maintenance on your Fulcrum set. Those of you who have already gotten your sabers, again, thank you so much for waiting for this and for not destroying your sabers trying to get into them without having it. Those of you who ordered the ready-to-ship sabers, you're going to get them just in time. The last few sets are shipping out shortly, so thank you for your waiting on that. We got a lot of stuff to go out of here right now. So let's get to it. The Fulcrum sabers are a faithful recreation of the Rebels Fulcrum set. So when that asset art was released back in, I want to say 2014, 2015, and when this design was done, it was done to match the curvature aesthetics and the Pantone color numbers that were released on the Lucasfilm art assets at the time. So these are not what is currently available from other manufacturers that are recreating the sabers from Mandalorian and the Ahsoka show. These are made off of the Rebels design. As such, they don't have like the screw here. They're not as large. They don't have the emitter extensions that, you know, for the filming props, they have that on there to hold the actual pixel blade. So these are also using the 7/8 blade rather than a 1-inch blade to mimic the more thin, slender blade style of the Macquarie concept they use for the Rebels show. And as such, there are a lot of other things that we had to hide in order to keep it as accurate as possible. So as such, there aren't things that stand out, like there's no big ugly sound vents. Like I said, there's no screws holding things together that aren't in the actual concept art. So getting into them is a little bit different than your typical saber. These are meant to be an heirloom collectible, so they're not something you're probably going to use every day like a combat class saber. And so it does take some getting used to the procedures of getting into, and that's what we want to go over today, is the use and maintenance of the saber and how to actually get to everything. It is a lot different and a lot better than the previous runs that we did several years ago with the extension tail for the the SD card reader and stuff. Those things were a nightmare. So while it does take a little bit of getting into, everything is very simplified. So in your box, each part of the Fulcrum set will come in its own box. Each box will have its own set of wrenches that go with it. The different sabers will require different wrenches. The only constant is the blade wrench, which is a 5/64 inch Allen wrench, and that is for the 832 set screw that is right here below the emitter. And then it goes for both models. Now, to get into the electronics portion, you'll have the 332 wrench, which goes to the Shoto, and that removes that screw right there. And then for the katana, it is the 1/8 inch hex wrench for this greebly right there that you take out to remove the pommel, because all of the access to the electronics, your charging USB data port, as well as the kill switch, is in the pommel. And that's what we're going to go over here, as well as blade insertion and the two different buttons. Let's get to it. All right, so operationally, each saber has a main button and an auxiliary button, which is this little guy down here on the ventral side of the saber. Actually, that would be the dorsal side, because a lot of people think that you're supposed to hold this curved saber this way, but it's made to be more like a tachi. So it's actually held this way, with this being the belly and this being the dorsal side. So this is your aux button for accessing menu, generating special effects, tip drag, all that good stuff is from there. So you're going to wake it up, pressing any button. That's your on off, press and hold, turn off, auxiliary effects, right? And then same for the Shoto. They will come to you with the kill switch in the off position. That's to keep it from turning on during shipping, and help keep the battery from draining, especially this time of year. It's cold. Anything to help get that battery to last a little longer before it gets to you is a good thing. So let's go ahead and get into the pommel, and then we will go over blade insertion and all that. So because the kill switch is in the off position, this means that when it gets to you, it's not going to turn on right away. So that doesn't mean it's broken. You just have to actually wake it up by turning the kill switch on. All right, so let's get into blade insertion, and then we'll open the pommel up and show you all that. All right, so the blades that it comes with, you will get two. You will get a 32-inch blade for the katana, and then you will get a 28-inch blade for the shodo. Obviously, you can mix and match whichever you want, but you would have to adjust your settings in the config file to account for the different length blades if you so choose. But for the purposes of this video, we are going to put the katana blade in the katana, and then, so they're going to be sort of a snug fit, which is a good thing because it is a shallow emitter in order to be accurate. So we don't want anything too wobbly at all. So once you get the blade in there, you make sure it's lit up. Then you're going to use the retention screw to tighten that blade down, and then all the other features will work like normal. Spectrum, blade profiles, all that good stuff. Just make sure that your blade retention screw is not sticking into the emitter when you go to put your blade in. That will make for a rough time trying to get it in there. So just back it out accordingly. You don't have to take it all the way out. There's plenty of meat in the sidewall here so that you can back that screw out enough to where it clears the emitter totally without it even hanging out of the saber. And then you can put the blade, in and get it tightened down. All right, when it comes time to either putting it on long-term storage or just charging it, or you want to change fonts or settings, so you want to get to that USB port, this is how you're going to do it. For the katana, you're going to take your 1/8-inch wrench and you're going to put it in this hex screw here and loosen that. It's a long screw, but it does come out pretty easily. All right, and you'll see that this is like sort of a anodized washer piece, part of the design. This panel does come up. Do not lift that up any higher. You'll bend it. It's aluminum. Don't do that. Bad day. All right, but once it is lifted up a little bit, that does make the pommel pretty easy to get out. It just slides out. And inside there, you will see your USB port. That is for this USB cable that comes with it. You can plug it into your favorite USB charger, wall wart, power station. I don't recommend plugging it into a PC to charge because USB ports on PCs are very inconsistent with what they put out for wattage. So just make sure to use a wall wart or a power station to plug it into for charging. You get much better results that way. Or you can plug that in for your data and plug it into your PC for making all your changes. Now, the switch, in the on position, it's going to be up towards your main switch. So if you see this switch here facing up, that kill switch that's over there on the side facing up is on. So when it comes to you, it's going to be in the down position. So when you get it, you're just going to want to take your wrench or some tweezers or something, get in there and pop that up, and you'll hear it boot up, all right? And then you can put your pommel on in the exact opposite way that you took it off. Slide it on. Let's hold that down. Put this wrench in. Or the screw in, sorry. I usually like to get it started by hand first, then take your wrench and put it in and tighten it. It doesn't need to be cranked down, but you just get it a little snug and you're good to go. All right. For the shodo is a little different because it's got a different greebly. And it is a little bit different there and tricky because the greebly is inset into the panel, which also helps hold the pommel in. So you're going to do with the 332 wrench, take that screw out of the middle. All right. And I like to wiggle the pommel a little bit and then try to push down on the panel. And sometimes that helps pop that greebly up enough to where you can slide that pommel out. Sometimes this comes out. That is okay. Just don't lose it. Just get it in there, push it back in that panel. Leave the panel lifted up slightly when you put your pommel in. That will help get that locked back into place. But it has the exact same setup. So with the main switch facing up, your kill switch is over here. So, and then it's going to boot up, and then you can power it on, what have you, and then your USB port is there. All right. And then, of course, when it's time to put back together, pommel in, press down here, put the screw in while holding that panel down, get it started, and then use your wrench to tighten it down the rest of the way. Pretty simple. It is just a little bit more of a procedure than, you know, simpler combat sabers. Like I said, these are made more to be an accurate representation of the design presented to us by Lucasfilm. All right, so like I said, the steps are just a little bit more of a procedure than your standard combat saber, but if you're going to be using them long-term or doing trooping and that kind of thing, it's just one of those things you're going to have to get used to. A couple of notes on these sabers. Like I said, they are meant to be a faithful recreation of the Rebels version. These were a laborious saber for us to do. Each hilt is machined out of billet aluminum, so it's not stamped or cast like some of the cheaper versions that are out there. This is actually a solid block of aluminum that gets milled out and then contoured in different operations, several hours of machine time on each thing. As such, though, they do have a really nice weight to them. They don't feel like something lightweight or you know, fragile in any way. They have a great weight to them in your hand. They feel like a real weapon, and I think that just really adds to the realism. Really happy with them. Sort of bittersweet to see them finally go, and that we don't have any plans at this time to repeat the run. So all of you guys out there that got these, cherish them, and we know you will. And we're very grateful for your patience and your grace throughout the run process. We've had to re-engineer the chassis inside several times to the different technology changes and some edits we wanted to make it easier on install. And we just really appreciate you guys' patience with us. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.